His desire will feel like a flame, but not every flame is sacred. Some come to warm you, others to burn you. And if you're not rooted in your truth, you'll mistake intensity for love and chaos for connection. The divine masculine doesn't always show up with clarity. Sometimes he shows up as fire, and that fire will test you, not to punish you, but to show you where you still abandon yourself in the name of longing. Can you feel the difference between being wanted and being honored? Comment, "I choose sacred fire, not illusion," if you've felt the burn of false connection and are ready to stand in your truth. There's a moment on every awakened woman's path when she is desired, not just admired, but wanted, deeply, intensely, by someone whose energy feels familiar, magnetic, even intoxicating. And in that moment, everything inside her lights up. Not just her heart, her body, her memory, her soul. But what happens next is the first spiritual test. Because not all desire comes from love, and not every flame that reaches for you is meant to stay. Male desire can feel sacred until it becomes confusing, until the warmth becomes heat, until the pursuit becomes pressure, until the connection begins to cost her clarity. Have you ever felt deeply desired, but still deeply unseen? Like someone wanted you, but not all of you. Just your softness, your light, your body, but not your depth, your silence, your power. This is where the test begins. The divine masculine carries within him the fire of creation. But not every man is ready to wield that fire with awareness. Some use it to awaken, others use it to consume. And if the feminine is not rooted in her essence, if she's still seeking love in the echo of longing, she will confuse his intensity for devotion. She will accept half energy, thinking it's sacred union. But real union doesn't burn you from the outside in. It rises from the inside out. It brings peace, not just passion. It brings expansion, not erosion. The first test is not to reject desire, but to recognize where it's coming from. To feel his fire and ask, is this pulling me toward myself or away from myself? Is this desire reflecting my worth or challenging it? Because the most dangerous kind of connection is not the one that's clearly wrong. It's the one that feels right, but leaves you emptied. And the truth is, the feminine has often been conditioned to collapse in the face of male desire and to say yes before she checks in with her body. To feel chosen and call it love, even when her soul whispers, "This is not safe." But awakening means pausing, feeling, listening, letting his fire reach you, but not letting it define you. Have you ever stayed in a dynamic that felt electric but made your soul shrink? That's not sacred desire. That's distortion disguised as depth. And yet, this is not about blaming him. This is about remembering you. Because if you carry the vibration of true love, of divine feminine essence, of sacred openness, you will attract many who want that light. But wanting it doesn't mean they can hold it. And it's not your job to teach them how. Your job is to protect your frequency, to hold your throne, to receive only what resonates with your full worth, not just your surface beauty, but your sacred depth. The first test is not in how much he wants you, but in how much you stay rooted while he does. Because true desire doesn't rush. It respects, it waits, it honors. And when you can feel the difference, you stop being pulled by every fire, and you begin to burn with your own. How male desire exposes your soul's boundaries. Desire isn't just something that comes toward you. It reaches into you. It stretches you. It exposes what's soft and what's still unguarded. And when the male desire enters your field, it will touch the places where your soul hasn't yet drawn a clear line. Because his desire will find your openness, not just physical, but energetic. And if your boundaries are not born from truth, they will bend under the weight of his fire. This is how male desire tests you, not just by how much you're wanted, but by what you allow in the name of being wanted. Have you ever said yes, not because it was right, but because you feared that a no would mean losing him? Have you ever kept yourself available to someone just because their energy felt intense, even when their presence wasn't consistent? These are the soul-level boundary crossings that most never speak of, because they don't happen through force. They happen through frequency, through the subtle pull that makes you question your no, through the magnetic tension that makes you stay longer than you should, through the hope that maybe, if you just stay open enough, he'll choose to meet you deeper. But hope is not a boundary, longing is not alignment, and desire is not always devotion. One of the hardest truths for the feminine to face is this: just because he wants you doesn't mean he's ready for you. Just because he reaches for your body doesn't mean he can hold your soul. And if you abandon your truth just to be received, you'll be received by a version of him that doesn't honor who you really are. This is the lesson. His desire isn't wrong, but it's not always sovereign. Sometimes it comes from wound, from ego, from longing for healing, but not being willing to rise for it. And you are not here to be a balm for his confusion. You are here to be a mirror, one that reflects where he's still fragmented, one that holds frequency, not fantasy, one that says, I see your fire, but I will not burn myself just to keep you warm. That's power, that's sacred boundary. And boundaries are not walls, they are invitations. They say, I am here, but only if you come with respect, only if you come with presence, only if your desire is clean. Have you ever felt your body say no, while your fear said yes? Have you ever ignored that inner contraction because the moment felt too intense to interrupt? Those are the moments where your soul invites you to reclaim your truth, not to close, but to clarify, to declare with softness and strength. This space is sacred. Enter only if you can honor that, because male desire will test you. It will knock at the gates of your body, your heart, your field. It will tempt you to open too soon, to surrender too fast, to lower your standard for the sake of connection. But your soul knows better. And when you listen, truly listen, you'll feel the difference between being touched and being met. The world will tell you that boundaries are limits, but in truth, they are offerings. They protect your energy so it can remain magnetic, pure, and powerful. They ensure that when he comes closer, it's not because you made it easy, but because you made it real. And only the real will remain. Not all fire is the same. Some fire warms, some fire blinds, some rises from soul, some erupts from shadow. And the divine feminine must learn deeply, intimately, how to tell the difference. Because not all masculine fire is sacred. Some of it is desperate. Some of it is still trying to heal through possession, not presence. Some of it wants her body, but fears her power. Some of it burns to be close, but runs when she shows her soul. This is the subtle wisdom that few speak of. The difference between the sacred fire and the distorted flame. The sacred fire feels strong but still, present but not invasive, focused but not controlling. It doesn't push, it grounds. It doesn't try to dominate. It desires to merge with something greater. Have you felt that before? A desire that wasn't just about chemistry, but about recognition, about the soul remembering something ancient, a love that didn't just touch your skin, but called your soul forward. That is sacred fire. But the distorted fire, it often looks the same at first. It's passionate, intense, electric. But it's fast, it's hungry, it's unstable. It doesn't pause to feel. It reacts to what it wants, without reverence for what it reaches. The distorted fire consumes. It's loud, hot, tempting, but ultimately it flickers out because it isn't rooted in love. It's rooted in lack. And the feminine, in her awakened form, can feel the difference if she's listening. She feels it in her body. Her womb contracts or expands. Her chest tightens or opens. Her nervous system tenses or softens. Because your body doesn't lie, even when your mind still hopes, even when your heart still longs, even when your fantasy wants it to be real. You know, you always know. And the test isn't just recognizing which fire he's bringing. It's having the courage to walk away from the one that isn't sacred. To say, I will not be the ground for your chaos. I will be the mirror for your becoming, because the sacred fire isn't afraid of your power. It doesn't ask you to shrink. It asks you to rise, to meet it, to dance with it, to become something holy together. The distorted fire, on the other hand, wants you to bend, to be impressed, to be overwhelmed, because it feeds off reaction, not resonance. So the real question is, what kind of fire are you letting in? Are you confusing intensity with truth? Are you calling chaos passion? Are you losing yourself to be desired, or finding yourself through deeper alignment? This chapter of your journey requires discernment, not fear, not defense, but quiet, embodied discernment. Because once you've tasted sacred fire, you'll never again settle for smoke. You'll crave the height that builds slowly, that reveres your temple, that meets you soul to soul, flame to flame. And until that fire comes, you'll become it. You'll light your own path. You'll hold your own heat. You'll burn with clarity, not confusion. Because the real fire isn't something he brings to you. It's something you already are. There's a truth that every awakened woman must eventually face. Your energy is not just magnetic, it's directive. It doesn't just attract, it teaches. It tells every presence around you exactly how to treat you. Not with your words, not with your intentions, but with your frequency. And here lies a sacred key. What you allow, what you entertain, what you hold space for, stays. Because your field is a temple, and whatever you permit to linger there believes it belongs. This is not about blame. This is about power, not the kind that forces, the kind that filters. Your energy filter everything, not through judgment, but through resonance. If his fire is chaotic and you open, you're teaching chaos it has permission. If his words are inconsistent and you remain, you're teaching inconsistency it's enough. If his desire is loud but not sacred, and you still let him into your energy, you're telling distortion it's safe here. Have you ever kept something in your field that you knew was draining you? Have you ever silenced your truth to maintain a connection that your soul was already releasing? That feeling in your body, that contraction, that unease, that's your filter trying to protect you. But if you override it, if you ignore it, if you keep saying maybe when your soul is already saying no, you blur the boundary, and blurred boundaries confuse your field. This is why clarity is sacred, because your clarity doesn't just protect you, it refines your reality. You don't need to explain, you don't need to convince, you only need to embody. Your energy will speak for you. When your field says, I allow only what is rooted in reverence, anything that's not dissolves. It may try to resist. It may test. It may linger at the edges, but it cannot stay, because your embodiment is now the filter, not your fear, not your fantasy, not your longing, just truth. Can you feel that shift? The moment you stop trying to manage the energy around you and instead begin to master your own. This is where everything changes. Because now you're not waiting for him to show up differently. You're showing up differently. You're no longer asking, will he choose me? You're choosing yourself so clearly that the only ones who remain are those who already speak the language of your soul. And that's the real power of the feminine. Not seduction, not persuasion, discernment. To feel desire but not be ruled by it. To sense connection but not abandon your center, to open with grace, but only when the field is safe enough for your truth. And here's what's beautiful. Once your energy becomes this clear, you won't need to filter manually. Your presence will do it for you. You'll notice fewer tests, less confusion, more alignment, more peace, because the field around you will become an extension of the truth within you, and anything that tries to cross that line without respect will feel it immediately, not as rejection, but as redirection. You are not here to fight for sacredness. You are here to embody it, to become the filter that doesn't ask but commands through frequency. So ask yourself now, what is my energy currently allowing, and what is it time to release? Because what stays is what you've said yes to, even in silence. Desire is instinctive, devotion is conscious, and between those two energies lies the most sacred transformation of the masculine. At first, he may only feel the pull toward your light, your softness, your field. He may not understand it. He may confuse the depth of his longing with mere attraction. He may want to taste your presence, before learning how to honor it. But if your field is clear, if your boundaries are rooted, if your truth holds firm without closing your heart, his desire will be tested. And if it's real, it will transform. Because sacred feminine energy doesn't just activate the masculine, it alchemizes him. It turns raw hunger into conscious pursuit. It turns fascination into respect. It turns the temporary into the eternal. Have you ever felt that shift in him? When his gaze stops reaching for your body and starts searching for your soul. When his fire softens into stillness, not because it's gone, but because it's deepened. That's the moment desire becomes devotion. But here's what most women don't realize. That transformation doesn't happen because you give him what he wants. It happens because you stay rooted in what you are. Your energy teaches him how to rise. Your clarity gives him the mirror to see where he still contracts. Your sacred no creates the space he needs to find his sacred yes. And that space is where everything changes. Because masculine desire, when truly met by feminine embodiment, must either evolve or exit. There is no middle ground in sacred union. Desire that refuses to mature into presence cannot sustain the frequency of a woman who knows her worth. It will either burn out or burn through what is as false. So what does devotion look like? It doesn't chase. It builds. It doesn't demand. It holds. It doesn't perform. It grounds. He doesn't just want access to you. He wants to protect what's sacred within you, not from fear, from reverence. And when his desire finally bows to the temple of your truth, not out of weakness, but out of awakening, you'll feel it. His presence will no longer trigger your survival wounds. It will regulate your nervous system. His words will not confuse. They will align. His touch will not take. It will meet. And you'll know this is not the same man who once pulled at your edges. This is the version of him who rose because you refused to collapse. That is the power of the feminine. She doesn't convert desire through pressure. She transmutes it through embodiment. And when devotion meets devotion, there is no more fire that burns, only the flame that builds home. The truth is, you were never meant to be consumed. Not by his desire, not by his confusion, not by the old idea that love requires surrendering your soul to be chosen. You were always meant to be the flame, not the one who waits for fire to arrive, but the one who reminds fire what it means to burn in truth. Because the awakened feminine doesn't just magnetize the masculine, she re-educates the flame through presence. through sovereignty, through stillness that doesn't shrink. There was a time when you thought love meant proving, explaining, fixing, earning. There was a time when you bent yourself into shapes just to feel held, even if the embrace came with conditions, even if the desire didn't see the sacred in you. But that time is over. Now you remember that your body is not a battleground for confused passion. It is a temple of precision. Your heart is not a reward for effort. It is a frequency of truth, and your energy is not an offering for every fire that knocks. It is the initiation that filters the real from the illusion. Have you ever looked back and realized, I was never too much. They were just not ready to burn with that kind of truth? Because that's the core. You were not made to submit. You were made to shine, to walk into a room and remind everything distorted that the sacred still exists. To hold your boundaries not as armor, but as a song of remembrance. This is how the divine moves. And the masculine who is ready will not flinch in the face of that flame. He will not try to extinguish your fire, to feel in control. He will rise. He will learn. He will listen to your silence and understand what no words could ever teach. Because when desire evolves into reverence, devotion becomes inevitable, and in that devotion, you will not lose yourself. You will become more of yourself. So let the fires that aren't meant for you fall away. Let the distorted flames burn out in the distance. Let the ones who wanted your light but feared your power walk. Because you are not a flicker in someone else's story. You are the sovereign flame, the lighthouse, the fire that doesn't chase, but calls everything real home. And in the end, it was never about being chosen. It was always about remembering you were the altar all along.